Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tracy from Encore Business Solutions. I hope everyone's having a fantastic Thursday. And today we're going to be doing our second segment of D365 Business Central for our Dynamics NAV and Dynamics GP clients. So if you haven't had a chance to watch our first installment, it is up on our blog. And we did do a precursor to that back in November as well. So there's a couple of webcasts or webinars, recorded webinars up there on our blog that you can go and listen to. And I just wanted to give you an update. Over the past few days, I've probably met with 10 clients and kind of going through these materials and getting some great feedback. And so this is our next presentation, kind of says, okay, great, you've got an overview of what your choices are and what are you going to do next. So I'll get started. And just to recap for those of you that have not participated or listened to those webcasts, there is a new application available to you. So NAV 2018 R2 was the last release of Dynamics NAV, and it has a transition path to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And for our Dynamics GP clients, the latest release is 2018 R2, and we should be having another service pack come out this fall, which will allow you then to, you've got choices on what you want to do. You're entitled to Dynamics 365 Business Central, absolutely. So we'll go over that, Dynamics 365 Business Central and what it brings to the table in an offering for you. And it is the next generation of intelligent business applications in the cloud. And one of the key points to take away is how tightly integrated it is with Office 365. I'm just going to again, we're just highlighting the information that we went over last broadcast. And again, it is able to leverage that Power Platform for those of you who might not have used Power BI or Flow or Power Apps yet. We've got a tight integration with those Office 365 applications. We also reviewed kind of what are the next steps or what choices are going to be a good fit for you in your organization. And although this slide itself has 3 options, we talked about 4 options. One option being stay exactly where you are on premise with your Dynamics GP or Dynamics NAV. You also have the option of doing the cloud sync. Cloud sync allows us to be on our on-premise application and sync or replicate our data up into the cloud in a D365 Business Central tenant. It'll take your data and you can have a read-only environment, so you're able to go on, log on, and run reports, do inquiries, and see how your data would be in this new application or the newer version of NAV if you're a NAV client. You have the option as well of going, transitioning from GP or NAV to D365 Business Central in our SaaS model, so that's in the cloud. So software as a service. Difference there is you wouldn't have to pay your annual maintenance anymore, and your software would be up to date all the time. You would never have to do an upgrade. So the fourth option is still transitioning to D365 Business Central, but staying on-prem. So on-prem, you would be much like you are today, and you wouldn't be paying per user per month for that licensing. So again, if you were a GP customer or NAV customer, you had a 5-user license, you would then go on and you wouldn't have to pay for that software. You'd be entitled to that D365 Business Central, but it would be on-prem. So today's webinar is going to talk about furthering out those options and kind of where does that lead you as far as choices and how does that look for you as an organization. So there's that GP roadmap. So we know that we've got a service pack to be coming out this fall. And then here's our product evolution from NAV to Dynamics 365 Business Central. So again, it's for our NAV customers, it's not a new application. It is NAV with an updated name, and it is available to be software as a service or completely in the cloud. And it can also be on-prem. Here's our roadmap for Business Central itself. And again, that some of the technical side there, the development language changing from CAL to AL. And again, that artificial intelligence is really being definitely immersed in these applications, and you have the ability to access all of that artificial intelligence that your data collects over time. One question that's come up over the last couple of days when visiting clients is about security. Security is very, very important to everyone, of course. We see it in the news all the time that people have their systems have been compromised, and what are we doing to combat that? So Azure helps you gain unmatched security. So again, if you went either with your on-prem solution but had it up in Azure, or you went with a SaaS model, Azure helps you gain unmatched security. Microsoft invests more than $1 billion a year and employs more than 3,500 security experts to protect your information. So again, there's lots of white papers and documents around Azure and around security. And if you're already using Office 365, there's also the M365 part of it, where you can go in and see your security score. So very, very much a part of what Microsoft's vision is for you as a client and how they can support you. And there's a lot more information about security in our previous presentation. And again, all of these slides are available to you. So one of the things I wanted to show you today was the cost calculator, and where you can take information and compare it. And this is something we can share out with you as a tool. So I'm just going to escape out of my PowerPoint for a second. Now this particular template is actually comparing Business Central migration, comparing it to having it on-prem, but also to have it Business Central in the cloud, so SaaS, so on-prem versus SaaS. So this scenario goes through those two comparisons, but you can take this calculator and plug in your variables that you would use today. So for example, how many users do you have in your ERP at the moment? These are premium and essential and team users. That's what your new licensing would look like. But if you're currently using NAV or GP, it would be full use users and limited use users. Those are the two user types. So again, you might be asking, what are these team users? Well, team users are like our read-only, and they can do limited write functionality, and they're a lot less cost than premium or essential users. And then you can plug in, so for example, what do you think on a yearly basis it would be for your hardware? So anything that you might do from a hardware perspective. Maybe your roadmap looks like you only replace your hardware every 5 years, and then you can kind of spread that up on a yearly basis. What would you budget for on a yearly basis, and how often do you replace it? And then you've got technical platform costs, and then those support people. How much do they cost, and how many hours per year would they be putting into the solution if you had it on-prem? And then if you're doing upgrades, what typically is your upgrade cost? And how often do you upgrade? This dollar value here represents if you were going to do services and implementation. So you can see that both of these numbers are here. So you could zero those out if you wanted to. And then your solution, again, how long have you been on that solution? So for example, you've been on NAV for 10 or 15 years or GP for 10 or 15 years. How would you be looking at that for replacing that application? So for example, going to Business Central. And we can see here on the graph over time the comparison of that. So again, in this situation here, where based on the variables we've put in, it looks like cloud over a 10-year total cost of ownership horizon is definitely a wiser investment over time than going on premise. There's other costs in here that, again, you can add those in. For example, the actual real estate that potentially that infrastructure takes up, or how much you pay from an energy perspective for that infrastructure as well. That can be in there. So there's a variety of things. Also in here, what's the annual maintenance, etc. And that's where this is driving from, because we've put these users in here. It's going down here and looking at that and calculating what is our annual maintenance. So everyone can use this customer migration model total cost of ownership calculator. And again, we can walk you through that and kind of look at it from the perspective if you stayed on-prem on your current solution versus migrating to Business Central versus migrating to Business Central SAS model. So that's one of the tools that we've got available to us. So I'm just going to go jump back to our PowerPoint presentation. And that's one of the tools that you can look at for planning ahead. If we stay on-prem with D365 Business Central, there is no licensing cost for you, unless of course you want to add more users, etc., much like you would do today. But if we're going to go to the SAS model, and again, there could be slight differences between US and Canadian pricing, but this is basically what it would be for an essential user is $89.60 per user per month. And I'm picking on that one specifically just to say, great. So if I had a full use user and I just used GLARAP and maybe I used in NAV, I used jobs, that's all considered a Business Central Essential user. If I was using manufacturing, that would be more of a premium. So we can certainly map your current users to where they would be in this new application if that's the choice that you were ready to make. Currently, right now, because you are a Microsoft customer, and obviously we value that relationship, Microsoft's offering a 40% discount on a per user per month basis. And that is good until June of 2021. So just another, well, almost 2 years from now. So you get a discount for that per user per month licensing. So that's if you wanted to go to the full SAS model. So as we stand right now, maybe you've made a decision, you're undecided, what happens now? So a great way to start is to start having these conversations. If you're on GP 2018 and you want to try out the intelligent cloud, awesome, you can do that. So NAV or GP 2018, we can set you up with that intelligent cloud. You can see your data, how it would look in Business Central, and be able to use all of the tools, all of those Power Apps with it as well, and look at all the reporting. So again, you can basically evaluate that and see how that would go. If you're happy on 2018 or 2015, whatever version you happen to be on, let's look at a support window. So we know that with every release of either NAV or GP, it's supported for 10 years. Mainstream support for 5 years, and another 5 years of non-mainstream support. So where we want to be having conversations with people is if they're using, for example, in the GP world, you're using Canadian payroll. Well, tax tables are only offered for the first 5 years. So if you're on GP 2018 and you're using Canadian payroll, we're going to need to make some decisions before 2023. So that's why we want to get in and have these conversations early to make sure we can support you. So again, you might decide to stay exactly where you are, and that's completely fine. You might decide to upgrade to 2018 version so that you can use the cloud sync to try out Business Central, or you might be ready to actually make that move. So I encourage all of you to connect with your account manager so that you can build out a roadmap. I was at a client today, and we're going to be meeting every month to kind of map out what it's going to look like. They're not ready to upgrade right now. They'd like to do it next summer, but we're going to build out that map and make sure that we're picking the right solution that can address all of the resources within the organization. And that's a great conversation to be having, because with this new Business Central and how tightly integrated it is with Office 365, there is so much power within all of those applications of Office 365, and Business Central really can harness that power. Some really, really great webinars, and I don't know if you guys check out our blog for our office hours that Ziad does out of our Calgary office. We offer some free training through our office hours. We've got more events coming up. There's Collaborate Canada coming up in September in Vancouver, and various other countries, in various other cities in Canada, as well as there's Summit, which is the annual user group. in Tampa in October. Again, lots of great information online, and you can always reach out to your AM or myself. I'd be happy to show you some of the cool applications and how they work very well with Business Central. So again, if you're looking for workflow, if you're looking for forms, you want to build your own little mini application, Power Apps is awesome for that. And then Power BI for data visualization. Very, very cool. So again, we're going to build out that map to make sure that you're aware of all of the benefits that you can get, regardless of whether you stay where you are, you're going to make that transition. We're going to help you get there. And again, there's Microsoft completely supporting you if you just want to stay on the version you are. But again, I want us to look at what's that timing? What does that timing look like? You know, if I'm using payroll, if I'm not, or maybe I'm on NAV 2015 or NAV 2013, and it's time to upgrade. Maybe you're just go to 2018 and stay on that because you know it's supported until 2028. So lots of choices. We just want to make sure we're being proactive and give you as much information as we can and understand what the needs are of the business to make sure that we create the right roadmap for you. For those of you that might have noticed that you're not getting as many emails from us, we've changed to an opt-in model to be compliant with CASL and GDPR. So that means you have to go on and update your preferences. So if you get an email from me, I've got the link right in my email. If you need to have that link sent to you, please reach out to us. And for those of you that have been getting many phone calls from our marketing team asking you to update your preferences, we'd really appreciate that because we send out our newsletter every month and all emails about events. And if you're not getting them, that's why, just to let you know. All right. So looking for more information, there is the Microsoft Business Central website where you can get more information about it. We also have, there's a Dynamics transition webpage. You can have your free trial. So there's a 30-day free trial for Business Central. There's also for Power Apps and for Flow as well. I just thought of something. I'm trying to remember what I was just thinking of. Shoot. It'll come back to me. But again, making sure that you've got lots of information. If people are saying to you, NAV's not supported anymore or GP's not supported anymore, that you've got the right information now. So we know when our releases happen, they're supported for 10 years, mainstream versus non-mainstream. So again, the main thing being about if you've got payroll, that's important to think about. But again, there's going to be a great opportunity for you, regardless of what you decide to choose. And we want to make sure that we're being proactive and having that relationship and making sure they've got all the information that you need. I've just got a little slide about Encore Care there. And actually, I'm going to go back here. And Tess, could you open it up for questions in case there's any questions?
Yes, we've actually had a few submitted already, so we can start with those. One is just a comment about looking forward to using the cost calculator, so that's good. The next question says, we are still on GP 2016. How will the transition be if we are interested?
Awesome, great question. So a couple things I'd want to make a decision about first is, great, do you want to just try out the Cloud Sync? So upgrade to 2018 and then try the Cloud Sync to see how it is. Or maybe you think about, oh, Business Central, also known as NAV in its previous life. It has some great things. For example, I really want that dimensional chart of accounts. I've really been looking forward to that. Or I really want to use jobs. You know, maybe there's a piece of functionality that's super important to you. So that's a great question. Currently, right now, we do not have a tool that will bring the history over for Dynamics GP clients, and we're waiting for that tool. So we're not in a rush to move people over, but let's imagine that there was a tool. Currently, we have a tool that will bring over the master records and opening balances. And I'm not sure that a lot of people are, some people are okay with that because they want to do a reimplementation anyways, they want to start from scratch. So really what it would look like at a high level is we would meet with you and map out what route you wanted to go. Do you want to start fresh? Do you want to start with a new chart of accounts and dimensions? Do you want your history there? Do you want to bring everything over? What does that look like for you? And we would have that conversation. The moving of the data is relatively simple. It's not a huge involved project, but having conversations about the mapping and the data that you want to have brought over and how you want it to look. There are some services with that. And then we're coming up with packages for training. So we have different quick start packages that would get you up and trained. And in my other presentation, I did some click-through demos. So again, for Dynamics GP customers, you wouldn't get lost. It's not like you'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to use this. And we're actually going to do a series of webinars that will show you, hey, in GP, this is how I do a journal entry. Here's how I do it in BC. Here's how I add an account. Here's how I do it in BC. Here's how I do an AP transaction in GP. Here's how I do it in BC. So you can get that kind of that feel for that. So the first step would be get in touch with your account manager. They can help you work out a plan. But yes, it's not like we're going to press a button and the next day you're going to be in your new environment. There's some conversations that have to happen. Bring the data over. Make sure you have the support and the training to be able to use Business Central to your advantage. And then it's going to be an ongoing thing where you're going to learn a lot. There's a lot of great information we can supply that you can go through. And I don't know, I'm out of breath. I'm so excited about this webinar. You can go on and learn yourself. So there's lots of materials that we'd probably say, hey, sit down and I want you to go through these materials. And then we're going to come in and bring in the value add that you need to help you get, to feeling back where you felt like in GP that you were super efficient. So we've moved a variety of NAV customers over because to them really it's a upgrade/transition. With GP, we've taken some clients' databases and moved them over in a trial environment just so we could see how that would work. We want to make sure that we can offer the best for our customers. And with no history right now, we're not feeling that right now, today is the right time to do that. And that's why we're having these conversations about planning things out. We hope that we're going to have a tool in October that will bring over the history. So I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. The next question is, at $89.60 per user, is there a minimum number of users?
Great question. Absolutely not. You can have one user system. And you can have one user in January, February add 2, March go down to 1, April go up to 5.
Awesome. The next question is, what is considered non-mainstream?
Great question. I actually have a little blurb about that test that we can add in here. I can go and update the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Mainstream means that you and I have found the undocumented feature in the solution that they address with a service pack or a tax table update. That's in the first 5 years. After 5 years, it means there is not going to be a service pack or a tax table update released. So if in year 7, you find that, oh my goodness, it won't translate foreign currency because the rate changed and it won't revalue and it got stuck, Microsoft's not going to release a service pack for that. In my experience, I've been here 21 years, never seen anything happen after 5 years that needed to be addressed. I've had a situation where clients are on such an old version that they have to upgrade to make that situation go away.
Awesome, and we will be sharing out these slides, correct, Tracy?
Correct, yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Sounds good. The next question is, my power user tells me there is less functionality in the cloud model. That's her resistance to moving to off-prem. Is there a difference in functionality?
Great question. That was true 2 years ago. That's no longer true.
Okay, the next question.
Exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Awesome. Next question is, how would integration work with D365? We integrate data from 2 separate production systems.
Yeah. So if we're going to go with Business Central on-prem, same as it was always, you would integrate the data. Up in the SAS model, it's a little bit more challenging, but we still do it, and we have clients that are doing it now that we've done integrations for. So it is still doable. On-prem, a little bit easier. Up in the SAS model, it's a little bit more challenging. I remembered what I wanted to say earlier. For clients who are concerned about SAS and where the data is, you can choose to have it in Ontario or Quebec, so it can be hosted in Canada.
Perfect. And our last question that's been sent in for now is, does Business Central offer a more robust procurement suite than GP 2016?
That might have to be an offline question because I'd have to know what they meant by more robust procurement.
Okay, sounds good. We will follow up with you on that. And that's all the questions for now. And thanks, Tracy.
Awesome, and we kept in under our 30 minutes. Please feel free to reach out to myself or your account manager and update your subscription preferences, please, so that we can communicate. And we look forward to our next webinar, which most likely will be probably splitting it off between the NAV and the GP groups by showing the functionality of GP and how you would do that in Business Central.
That's awesome, and I will be sending out the slides probably tomorrow or Monday, so you can look for that and the calculator.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, Tess. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic Thursday, Friday, and weekend.
Thank you, everyone.